Hello, everyone. Welcome, viewers, to BizTalk Unplugged, Season 2, Candid Conversations on Business, presented by INR The Insight Room, where we open the floor to unrestricted and unscripted dialogues for curious business minds. In today's session, we are joined by none other than Mr. Anuttam Sen, Vice President Marketing at Dainik Jagran, a leading Hindi news and media house, where he spearheads integrated marketing and revenue initiatives across platforms. With over 2 decades in India's media and marketing ecosystem, Mr. Sen represents the discipline of building outcomes at scale. His journey across leading media houses has been shaped by sharp commercial thinking, integrated strategy, and an instinct of translating brand intent into measurable impact across platforms. What distinguishes his work is the balance he strikes between insights and execution. As a senior marketing leader, he operates at the intersection of advertisers, audiences, and evolving media formats while remaining deeply interested in mentoring the next generation through academic and professional engagement. His career reflects a simple truth that sustainable brands are built where learning, relevance, and results meet. Welcome, sir. It's an absolute honor to have you with us today. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Upadhyay. Thank you, the team here. I can see Mr. Srivastav here, Mr. Ankush here. I sincerely thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And it's really nice to see this kind of initiative of exchanging the ideas. I look forward to learn a few things from you as well. It's not going to be on one-way traffic. So before we get into anything, let me just give you a small introduction of myself or of what we have done. See, I come from a very simple middle-class Bengali family of Calcutta. I was, my father is from a banking background, and the one thing that we always were taught very highly was about the value system, respecting relationships, and that's something which I think all of us here we have been taught that way by our parents. And at a very critical juncture of my career, I landed in Banaras, and I had the great opportunity of studying in Banaras Hindu University, which to me is an ocean. Once you plunge in that, you realize the depth of it. And even after leaving the campus, say, I think almost 25 years back, even today, I think I am still learning, and I am indebted to those great experiences. So all along, I have done nothing in my life except for media, and I have gone through the changes. I have seen the changes. You can say that I am like a lighthouse, which is seeing the changes passing by in the ocean floor, as far as the media is concerned. And some changes are good, some changes are yet to be concluded as good. I'll not say bad, but yet to be concluded as good. But media dynamics is changing, and I think media, end of the day, is a reflection of what is happening around us, whether it is in our society or economy or even in our personal lives. So, for instance, the kind of media that you consume in your daily life is directly reflective to how your personal life is. Like, for instance, today the viral video preferences. So what kind of preferences are selected in the online format? It's your preference, right? The way you see your life. So I started my career in Calcutta with a Bengali publication called Bartaman, which is a very strong and local publication house. And it's one of the biggest marketing success stories in India, by the way, because it was started by an editorial person, and it became a booming success story. Thereafter, I joined Anand Bazar Patrika, which happens to be I think anyone who knows about media in the country would know that ABP is a very respected name. And ABP owns titles like Anand Bazar Patrika, The Telegraph. At some point of time, it used to own Business Standard, then Fortune. And of course, in the television business, now everybody knows ABP News and etc. etc. So I worked in multiple roles, but the biggest opportunity that I got over there was to work on the reader dimension. Ultimately, in any business, wherever we want to work with, customer is the end point. Technology, HR, finance, everything is fine. marketing, branding, everything is fine. But end of the day, if the customer is with you or not with you, any great property, any great proposal, you will not be able to move ahead. So Anand Bazar Patrika gave me that huge opportunity. I could work with the customer dissection across all target audiences, different geographies. And thereafter, I moved to Hindi language space. After working there for almost 10 years, I moved to Hindi language space. For a brief while, I worked for the Griya Shobha magazine. And then I worked with Amar Ujala for a while, which is also a very respected Hindi publication house. And now for last 6.5 years almost, I work with Dainik Jagran, which is not just a newspaper. In fact, my role is also not just a newspaper. We have a very vibrant digital footprint as well now, which is doing exceedingly well because of the explosion in the digital space, and also few things which we have done which others are now following at a global scale, for instance. So my entire life, I have done nothing. Like you can say that, on a different note, I can tell you that I am like Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch has also done nothing in his life except for media business. He made this joke in one of the New York galas that, I keep coming to these fashion shows and these meetings and all, but I have only done media. I don't know why they call me. So I have also, in a way, in a very small format of that, I have only worked in media, but because of my exposure in media, because of my experience with working with so many brands and so many, clients, I have significant amount of outlook of how the global perspectives are, or the macro perspectives are for Indian businesses. So that has enriched my career. Today I work with several consulting houses in an independent capacity, providing them independent contractual materials like, business planning and all. I am also, trying. I will not say I'm very successful in it, but I'm trying to impart my knowledge through these courses in various education institutes. I'm part of some government and non-governmental bodies which are into things like startup and all. So overall, the way I see my career, coming from a very simple background, nothing was there. Like I'm sure all of us, we are going through and we shall go through grinds. I have also gone through the grind, still grinding. But whatever I can do for you as in a plural item, I think I shall do it. And I don't think that knowledge is something which has any cost. It's free. So I can take anything from you, I can give anything from you to you. There is nothing, no cost attached to it. So there is no ego attached to it. The moment there is some value to it, ego comes. So I don't have any ego. That is my biggest asset. And whatever, for instance, if anything is needed from me, or anything, any advice is needed from me, any point of time, and if it is within my capability and domain, of course, I shall be forthcoming. Now, I'll spend next couple of minutes in terms of my experience in the media sector. This is a very interesting way. So when you look at media, whether it is television, whether it is digital or in print, there are three basic broad sides in the media business. First and foremost is the content. If the content is not good, irrespective of the strength of the media house, it will flop. It doesn't matter whether it is floated by a Microsoft or a Google or a Reliance or XYZ. If the content is not good, it will not work. Ultimately, all of you, all of me, all of us, we look at media only for content. That is the first part. Then the second ecosystem, which is often neglected in India, is research. The content research. It's often neglected because in India, we feel that, across all domains and industries, we feel shortcut mein kitna ho sakta hai. So research is something which is often neglected, especially now in the era of social media. You can publish anything. So research is even more at the backside or back foot of it. And the third one is the commercial part of it. Media is not a charity house. Media is also a business. So there has to be a P&L, there has to be a profit, there has to be, if there is a loss, there has to be a measured loss. So these are the three broad I'll say pillars of media, just like any other industry. Tomorrow, if you get into a bhujia business also, you have to create a good product. You have to have consumer insight, which is your research part. And of course, then you have to have a grand marketing scheme so that you can sell your product, trade your product, do the right networking, expand your product. So nothing different, only difference in media than as compared to any other industry. And this is something which often people forget, is media is extremely connected with credibility. If for instance, if you are buying a Lux soap, you really don't bother if the flavor is 5% up or 5% down. If you are buying any FMCG product or any service, for instance, if you are buying an air ticket and if the flight is delayed by 1 hour, you feel unhappy about the product, but you don't question the product. Media does not have that advantage, and that is the strength also. When you look at a newspaper, when you look at a TV channel, when you look at a digital platform, the reason you go there is to find out a credible news. And credibility is the biggest reason of differentiator in media. I'll give you a classic example, very classic example. When Trump attacked Venezuela, day before yesterday, half of the world went to CNN to find out what happened. Why? The same content was available in 500 other websites or newspapers or TV channels. But somehow CNN has created that aura or that perception or that credibility that if there is any wartime news, if there is any news of a battlefield, if there is any news of a conflict, I am the best. That's CNN's credibility. When there is a major business breaking story, irrespective of whether it has happened in television or not, people still buy Economic Times. Still buy it. That proof in the pudding is that on the next day of the budget, union budget, Economic Times sells 5 times more number of copies. Why? The same thing is available one day before this in website. All you need to know is tax increment हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, इस product में दाम बढ़ा कि नहीं बढ़ा, यही तो जानना है. But still you end up buying that newspaper, and at least still buying because of only one factor, and that is credibility. So I think I am very proud to be a part of a career which is connected with credibility. I think only medical science offers that kind of credibility. When you go to a doctor, you have zero doubt about the doctor's credibility. Anything else that you do, even when suppose you are buying a car, you are buying a new flat, you are buying a new product, there is always even 0%, 0.01% doubt in your mind, शायद ये गाड़ी ठीक ना हो, शायद ये फ्लैट में कोई दिक्कत आ जाए, शायद बिल्डर भाग जाए, शायद ये प्रोडक्ट मेरे को सूट ना करे. But when you go to medical profession, when you go to a doctor or a hospital, that's also a business, by the way. And when you come to a media, there is absolutely no doubt in your mind that, okay, when I'm reading the newspaper, I'm getting the news that I need. So this is something which I am very proud of. Things are changing, life is changing, but end of the day, my concluding comment in this particular discussion at this point of time is, see, whatever money will do, whatever the world will do, whatever the life will do, your credibility, your trust factor, your credentials will not change. That is eternal. If you are if I can depend on you, Mr. Upadhyay or Mr. Srivastav, that is eternal. My faith is not like my faith in God is not connected with environment, weather, my financial situation. It is eternal. So credibility, credential is eternal, and that way I see media that way. The way I work also, that's a reflection. So, and last point, a very simple, small point. Lot of people are now coming to media with a short-term mindset. Media is not a short-term gain because you can't develop your credentials over short-term. And that is where this whole digital media and the lack of credibility is related with. Ultimately, a channel or a newspaper takes lot of time to create credibility. Lot of time. In this meeting of four of us, maybe Ankush likes to watch channel X more than channel Y. That is because of certain time period. Not because just one day Mr. Upadhyay has seen that, okay, this channel is better looking than other channel. It is not that so. So our business is long term. Our life is long term. Hence, our life is not that eventful. It is simple, and it is you, if you are in the long run of it, you will enjoy it. If you are in a short run hurry, then you will come enjoy a bit and then we'll move out. Over to you.
So wonderfully said, sir. That credibility is built over trust and long-term relationships, which is the key pillar of life itself. And as we move forward, sir, our first section or the first segment is journey, change, and perspectives. It largely deals with how the media houses have evolved, the audiences, the leadership expectations, and your perspectives on the matters as well. So, sir, as we begin, in the past over 2 decades, as the 22 plus years of experience that you have, sir, what has changed the first? Is it the consumer, the advertiser, or the newsroom itself? Because right now, I would say that the flow of information has become so advanced that that at the tip of finger, every reader has, like say, the combined world itself. So, in your point of view, what's the whole scene here?
See, I will break this question into three parts. One, and I will answer it one after another. First, what has changed? I'll tell you what has not changed. The first starting point is what has not changed is still the need for good news. That has not changed. And that will never change. Even if there is one person in this world, last person in this world who needs a good news, still media has to produce the good news. Like for instance, if there is no reader of in this world of Gita, still Gita remains. Right? Tomorrow there may not be a single person in this world who's reading a Gita or a Quran or a Bible, but still those books will remain, right? So that part will not change. The need of good news. What has changed is the presentation of the news. Presentation of the news. Now there are two changes in this presentation, how this has changed. First and foremost, 20 years back, even 25 years back, before the messaging services came into effect, the world was into long format reading and writing. Even your academic system was like that. One used to study a long format questions, long format answers, medium format answers, and there was no ticking of answers. Like there was no multiple type questions. Last 25 years, our academic system has changed. Our media, our medium of messaging has changed, starting from a letter writing to a WhatsApp messaging. So what has happened is the format of news has changed. The format has become shorter. That is for sure. From long format to medium format and then to shorter format. So while the need of news remains unchanged, the challenge for us in media has become to provide the same depth of news in a smaller format. For instance, if I had to report 25 years back about this particular incident or this particular meeting, I would have probably taken 10 sentences to explain these four people, Mr. Srijan Upadhyay, having this background, this, that, and all. Mr. Akash Srivastava, blah, 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 and then coming to the last part saying what we have done. Now, what we are doing has come to the forefront. So the format has changed, but the content need has not changed. Now, couple of things simultaneously are happening, and this is happening because of technology, primarily technology, along with that cost cutting and all, but primarily technology. But the bigger problem or the bigger challenge is that people are not adequately equipped to shorten a long format conversation. And that's where the distortions are happening. So even within the mainline media today, whatever distortion you are seeing are primarily because of our inability to bring a large conversation in a short format. That's the basic fundamental structural problem that Indian media or media across the globe are facing. Number one. Number two, because of free internet. See, internet's biggest challenge is internet is free. Not only financially free, free in terms of identity also. Tomorrow, if Facebook or Instagram or Twitter makes you to identify yourself with some kind of identification like your Aadhaar card or your PAN card or something, you will not be able to write those rubbish that you are currently writing. Today I can write anything on these social media platforms because I am anonymous. Tomorrow and unverified. I can write jolly well. I can write that. I'll give an example on this same Trump Maduro Venezuelan crisis. That for last 24 hours, right-wing media in United States are continuously propagating that next Trump will attack Ecuador, next Trump will attack Colombia, etc., etc. These are all unverified. No one in the Trump administration has mentioned this point. But because of these unverified claims, the stock market and the oil prices and other things in these markets are in turmoil. So think of the larger impact because of these unverified claims. So tomorrow, if I force Mr. Srijan Upadhyay to enter his Facebook ID with some kind of official identification, irrespective of whether his name there is Srijan Upadhyay or some greyhound or something like that, he will not be able to write this kind of trash because he will be afraid of getting caught. This is the biggest challenge right now, the source of unverified communication. Unfortunately, as the world, see, one brilliant US-based, logical, he himself calls himself the world's last logical person, Mr. Bradford, Jeremy Bradford. He mentioned that the world is moving to an era of lack of intelligence. So you tell me that this is the drug for cancer cure, I trust you. Why? Why? So this is the challenge that we have in media, unverified claims. Now further to it, because of the deep fake, because of the AI implanted media, I am unable to verify whether this is a CNN post on actuality or not. So I can jolly well put a CNN logo and create a video with Mr. Srijan Upadhyay reporting on ground from Kyiv, saying that Russia has already entered Kyiv and Ukraine is gone. Well, the ground reality may be different. Today, as we talk, there is no solution to it. Because internet, now there is a need that internet needs to be checked. But no political party in the world is propagating it for the fear of losing power. Tomorrow, any political party says, okay, all of us have to put the Facebook ID and etc., etc. People will stop doing it. And that is exactly, by the way, that is exactly what has happened in Eastern Europe, Hungary, Romania. These countries, you have to put your social ID. So their percentage of social media penetration there is less than 50%. People don't write unless they have something to talk, unless they are showing that, okay, I have gone to my brother's wedding, etc., etc. But not this kind of trolling or negative or false information. So the second problem, the second aspect of media is how we can combat this tackle this particular aspect of fake, I'll say simple fake news. The last part, and which is connected with our business, is, digital media is extremely fragmented. It is not possible for anyone to start a newspaper in a single 3 days time, or a television channel in a 3 days time, or a magazine in a 3 days time. It is not possible. So that's why the number of these particular mediums remains very limited, right? How many newspapers you have? In for instance, if you are based out in Hindi, there are 5, 6, 10 newspapers maximum, covering almost 100, almost 75, 80 crore population. But digital is free. Tomorrow you can join your own, you can start your own, you can join someone else, you can co-create, you can have multiple media platforms, right?
True, sir.
So this fragmentation of media is not helping media. It is helping the platform service providers like Google or platform service providers like Facebook. But as an independent media, you are not getting benefited out of it. So the biggest challenge, if I could see, one is the fake news part on the content side, and the fragmentation in the media side, digital media side, driving the value of media down. All media. It is not digital is affecting not digital. Digital is affecting television also. I'll give you an example. Right now, for instance, suppose there is an accident in Moradabad, as we talk, suppose. Now within 1 hour, some news will come in the digital platform. So the news channel, when it covers at 9 p.m., has lost the eyeball, or at least a part of it. But it's no credibility guaranteed. No credibility guaranteed. I'll give a live example to make you understand this. Right now, across Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, lot of road widening work is happening.
True,
So
sir.
bulldozers are moving across UP and Bihar.
Indeed, indeed. Yes, sir.
Correct. If you go to social media, they are full of reels. How many of them are true? Do you know? How many of them are like the Kulu flood that happened, Kulu Manali flood that happened? How many were not AI generated? Do you really know? We don't. So what would happen is, in fact, this is my fear. What would happen is that after some time, people, because of the lack of credibility, people will stop consuming the media. Again, coming to my original point of credibility. If you know that Haldiram does not give you good food, you will not buy from Haldiram. So I am a Haldiram. I have to provide good food. But the problem is, if 20 other people are providing the same food in the name of Haldiram, and I'm unable to check them. Okay. So these are the 3 broad aspects that I could cover here.
Thank you, sir. Sir, continuing your credibility part, you have also talked about the PNL, and this era of the PNL, we have seen that the there are many social media houses and many social media things which are focusing most on the PNL of the media. Sir, what matters you more today? The reach, it, engagement, or the long-term value? And how can we integrate all these things with the PNL, with the profit and loss?
See, the PNL discussion has to, if you want to do PNL discussion, there are 2 critical aspects or 2 separate aspects. One is the PNL of a traditional media house, like a TV channel or like a newspaper. Their PNL responsibilities are different. Okay. And then there are digital media houses whose PNL is different. Digital business across the country, across the globe, everywhere, currently is run on valuation business. So that is why a Uber or a Flipkart or an Amazon can continue to do losses but still remain attractive to investors. Correct? Like for instance, a Swiggy or a Ola. Who has bought a Ola share here? Ola is a loss-making company. So whoever has bought Ola has bought it with the valuation aspect in mind. Right. So when you look at valuation as a game, then your perspective of P&L is different. Then you build scale. And after a certain scale, you exit, the promoters exit, and a new set of advertisers come into play. Or rather, a new set of investors come into play. And then there are traditional media houses. The largest chunk of P&L, end of the day. See, P&L's biggest challenge is not P, it is L. Profit hona ho, loss nahi hona chahiye. And biggest, and let me tell you where we all go wrong, especially Indian companies go wrong is, see, and this is where China is so successful. I have studied it with the Chinese, I have worked with few Chinese companies in JV in my recent jobs and all I have seen. They are looking at value creation. See, no company in this world has become profitable by cost cutting. In India, the biggest starting point of discussion is cost cutting. Cost cutting cannot, you have to, for instance, if you have to spend today, you have to spend $1,000 to acquire a new technology. But you know that in next 3 years, I will not make profit. China will do it. But that Indian company will think twice, no, mera naukri chala, no, mera shareholding kharab ho jayega. So unless you put the investment ahead of your day-to-day thinking, you will not. And this is where China is ahead of us. What China, when I have gone to China and I have interacted with the Chinese companies, two things I have realized, and this is very critical from the P&L perspective. Chinese companies do their P&L on a 10-year scale. 10-year scale. Today I am here. Can I move to that point in 10? Where will I move in 10 years' time? That's a simple one-line mathematics that they work with. Indian companies, the best of Indian companies work on 1-year P&L. And the worst of them work on 1 quarter P&L. A quarter mein koi, I'll give an example. 1 quarter you have not performed well, you come up with sales offers, you come up with 1+1 schemes, you come up with easy loans, etc., etc. You don't try to enhance your product. You don't try to correct the course of why people have not bought your product. In case of, for instance, I'll give you an example of these Chinese companies in media only. In media, I'll not even get into other domain. I had the opportunity of meeting with the biggest newspapers and the digitals and the TV channel businesses of China for last 2 consecutive years in a conference in Hong Kong. And the way I see my owners thinking about business and the way they think about their business is totally different. Totally different. My owners or across the country media owners in India are happy with a 8 to 12% profit margin, net margin. Today media operates at 10% margin across the country if it is making profit. The Chinese companies are also working on a 14% profit, not more than that. So that way there is not much of a difference. But their biggest challenge or biggest focus is how to add something new to my weaponry. That is their biggest challenge. Can I do geo-targeted marketing? Can I do demographic targeting? Can I create a newspaper which is semi-digital for the youth so that youth can come? Can I create a newspaper for elderly people because China has almost 14-15 crore of people who are above 75 years, so they have a lot of time. So these are thinkings which unfortunately do not exist in our industry in India. If you ask me, because I interact with media owners across the country, they have different priorities. They want to, some of them have political ambition, so they want to talk on certain political lineage. Some of them are very happy with other businesses like real estate. किसी ने hospital खोल लिया, किसी ने education खोल लिया, चलो एक अखबार भी साथ में रख लिया. There are some newspaper companies like Dainik Jagran. Our owners are primarily into newspaper business. So they उनको लगा कि थोड़ा digital बना लो, थोड़ा newspaper कर लो, थोड़ा TV कर लो, बहुत कुछ हो गया. Like in India today, their owners are into that media कि मेरे को Bill Clinton के साथ दिखना चाहिए and all those things. So the perspective that a Chinese company is working is completely different, and that is why 20 years down the line, these Indian media companies may not have even 10% profit, but those Chinese companies will continue to make those 13% profit. So PNL, long-term, sustainable thought process in India is missing. It is short-term and semi-short-term. Abhi example दे रहा हूँ आपको, classic example being, right? Like for instance, if you ask any media owner today, what is your business horizon for next year? The biggest challenge for a newspaper is newsprint cost. Almost 45-50% of our cost is newsprint cost. But Indian owners are not bothered. वो तो government of India जो rate decide करेंगे उसी में खरीदूंगा. So if this is your attitude, then you are playing short term.
So I've very rightly said that before markets change, mindsets must change, and leaders are shaped in that transition. And you have rightly said that credibility is what that depends upon the future that we build. And as such, since you have had various conversations with the other media houses abroad, and you have sort of rightly identified the problems which the media houses in India actually face. What, according to you, would be the right form of the media leadership in the next 10 years as India progresses forward? A personal moment or something that you can relate with.
See the media leadership or the growth of media in this country will come from the reach. We have a 150 crore population. So even if you grow by 10%, you add 15 crore people in your kitty, right? Which is almost as good as Europe. So media's growth in India is purely connected with population. And it is not a very difficult task. Why? Because population is becoming socially aspirational. Population is getting more economic strength in their hands. Like people have enough money to buy. People are buying today. Today, you will not find any person aspiring to buy a below 10,000 mobile phone. Whether he buys a 10,000 rupee phone or not, that's his economic situation. But he aspires to buy a 25,000 rupee phone, right? So that aspiration change is very much there. So India's media's biggest growth is within India only. And that growth will come from our huge reach, huge mileage, huge population size that we have. The only challenge that we have is to keep myself relevant. Why a young guy who is of 18 years and situated in a place like Darbhanga, or a place situated at a place like Bijnor or a Hisar will pick up a media, a credible media. ये फ्री मीडिया की बात नहीं कर रहा, क्रेडिबल मीडिया जिसके लोग पैसा देगा, चाहे वो चैनल हो, चाहे वो कोई न्यूज ऐप के पेड सब्सक्रिप्शन हो, या चाहे कोई न्यूज़पेपर हो, something that he will buy it. Something like, for instance, when you say, for instance, in Swiggy, you pay first, na? Then only you get your service. So I am talking of something like that. Now, why would he do that? Only when there is a compelling reason for him to do it. Currently, that compelling reason is not there. I'll give you an example of another market where this has changed. Russia. In Russia, the consumption in Russia, media is very limited. Everything is state controlled. Whether it is newspaper or TV channel, everything is state controlled. But media penetration in Russia is almost 90%. Why? Because while the government is churning out its own agenda, propaganda, government is also providing what people want. Government is providing all those things that people want. Only when it comes to politics, government is controlling the content. That's why in Russia, people still, I was surprised that, in Russia, there is a newspaper, there is a magazine for gymnastics. And you know how many people buy it? More than 1 lakh of people. More than 1 lakh people buy that magazine on gymnastics. Nothing else. So it means that even in Russia, there are total 1 million people who are currently interested in gymnastics. 10% of them are connecting with that media, which is not a bad number. Because that 1 lakh people, 1 lakh copy means you are target reaching almost 4 lakh, 5 lakh people. So almost 40-50% of that genre you are targeting, connecting. There are magazines, or rather there are digital magazines, e-magazines on chess. These are simple examples I am giving. Now, unfortunately, in our country, entire media narrative is political, which means that either I like you or I hate you. Here we are 4 of us. We all have some political ideology. And because of that ideology, we don't like the other content. And that is how we have been grown with. Unless that narrative changes, unless we are told to expand our spectrum, media's core focus will remain sadly limited. So the way I see the future challenge is expansion within yourself and making more relevant. I'll give an example, last example for instance. When you look at Bollywood and you look at media, do you really believe the numbers that they throw that this movie has made 1,000 crore, 500 crore? You don't. Somehow there is a lack of credibility, right? Which media has only created. Nobody created those credibility issues. Some free digital media companies or the so-called experts, they started throwing those numbers, and overall the dilution has happened in credibility. So to answer your question, Mr. Upadhyay, first is media will grow on its own within itself, and media will grow if and only if it remains relevant to the people.
Thank you, sir. That was
Thank you.
wonderfully and rightly said. May I take this, Akash?
Yeah, sure.
So, you have rightly said about the credibility and the misinterpretation, and evidently we have seen previously that there have been instances in the country as recently as the CA protest and the other the MSP laws and all. There is a sort of a flow of this misinterpretation happening on a mass scale. What are some of the preventive measures or the any sort of actions that the media houses are taking, or they plan to take, perhaps even preparing to sort of counter the situation? Because any misinterpretation, like for example, if there is a sort of a tense situation in any city, the government puts curfew situations to blocks the flow of information, thereby subsequently blocking the panic situation or any form of violence. So what are some of the policies, or perhaps some of the preventive measures that the media houses do plan to take, or are they taking in?
No. See, there are two aspects to it. One is any respected media in this country, no, they don't put up fake news knowingly. Okay? You have to accept it as a thumb rule. There may be some exceptions here and there, but as a thumb rule, 99.99 cases, nobody puts a fake news in either in a digital format or in a readable format in a respected news house. I'm not talking of those fringe houses or fringe brands which pop up in the internet. What media has not done, the traditional media has not done, the legacy media has not done, is to educate people. Why? When there is a news item which is available in, say, hypothetically speaking, an ajtak.com or a timesofindia.com or a jagran.com or a Dainik Jagran newspaper, why would you read a blog by some Akash Srivastava who has no authenticity established? So this is the education which media has to give to people. That we have to tell people the way RBI is currently doing for this entire fraud, financial fraud thing, that these are things which you don't do. It takes time to make those changes happen. But this is something, if you ask me, the biggest opportunity, challenge, and scope of work for media is not just to counter the fake narratives in their own platform, but to make people more aware and hence more active, not to consume those dubious, spurious sources of news content. It is not going to be easy because ultimately India is a 150, 160 crore population country. Even if a pilferage happens over 5%, we are talking of almost 1 million people. So that is not going to change. I'm not changing that part. If you ask one thing, I'll give an example. I'll give a very simple example. If you have downloaded the app of 2 or 3 large media brands in this country in your mobile, whether it is Times of India or Jagran or Bhaskar or India Today, whatever, that is good enough for you as far as content is concerned. But because of our propensity to consume this free internet, I'll give a simple example how people suffer. Forget about these political news and narratives. In the internet, there are so many fake, false health solution narratives. You will be surprised to know how many people suffer. How many people think that their hair will grow by applying this particular cream, or how many people think that they will lose weight because of those 10-second, 20-second, 30-second videos. Now, this is something which media cannot change. You are consuming it. All I can do is I can make you aware that this is wrong. This is not good for you. End of the day, if the consumer is not accepting that change, or rather not accepting the message and still going for those dubious nature of content, it is not in media's hand. And that is exactly what is happening right now. The last challenge, and which is critical, is this whole AI related deepfake. So a lot of media houses are creating their barriers, etc., etc. It is not just a challenge for media; it is a challenge for everybody. So that is a challenge which, in fact, AI can have a devastating impact in our lives across all genres, because ultimately one thing is for sure, that if AI is used across all broad spectrums of our society, it will be misused more than used properly. That is 100% guaranteed. So deepfake is not just a media problem, but deepfake is a problem for everything. Tomorrow, even a video banking. I was told few days back, that all the banks are now considering video banking as a threat, because in video banking, I can create a photograph of Srijan Upadhyay and make a good 40-second video and fool that banker on the other side and siphon off the whole money. I can siphon off the whole money. 40-second video with this kind, wherever you are currently sitting, it will take hardly $5,000 to make a video which will be better than your actual video. And then your entire money is gone. So it is not only our problem. It is everybody's problem.
The next segment is about the leadership, talent, and decision making.
This will be our last segment. I have to leave at 6. You have to excuse me. I have another meeting. So we have 10 minutes time. So we can hurry or you can conclude.
So Akash was want to take just this question in a very quick format.
Please.
And, it shall explore both the leadership, talent, and decision making, along with a bit of the hawker economy sort of inferences. So Akash, please take it away.
Yes, sir. So as you're a VP and have so much of experience with it, when you look at the leaders like Subhash Chandra sir and the Ben Bradley, sir, who had evolved from the driving outcomes themselves to shaping the judgment, culture, and resilience. How did your own daily energy shift as you stepped into your senior leadership? Which habit of you did consciously unlearn, and how did you learn to build resilience of yourself?
You have taken so a lot of big names. I am not nowhere even near too close to them also. The only thing which is common between them and me is hard work. And unfortunately, media is a 16 hour a day business and 7 days a week. Even today, even these days also Sundays, I don't take too many Sundays. I don't get too many Sundays actually. Because ultimately we can take a Sunday, but the newspaper or the channel still remains on Sunday open, right? It's not a shop or a factory. But two things which I personally feel which has helped me a lot. And even today, I feel that that is greatly contributing to my career. One is to stay connected with the ground, like my hawker, like my distributor, like my vendor partners, like my team members. I'll give an example, a very simple example. I was talking to someone in a place called Jabalpur. I don't know whether you have heard of it or not, in Madhya Pradesh. Jabalpur is in Madhya Pradesh, and we have our sister publication Nai Duniya, published from Jabalpur. So that person gave me, I'll not get into the details of it, gave me a particular information which we are now replicating in 43 towns. So if I'm not, see, Jabalpur wala banda is very happy that it has happened in Jabalpur. He has been applauded by people locally and blah blah blah. His life is done. But as a successful media person, if I could replicate it even in one town, forget about 43. So and I'm presuming that, after seeing our success story, our other media brands across the country will pick up that same thing. It's very interesting, a low-cost solution to our distribution business. So one part is staying grounded. That is something which I have learned from my peers. I have learned from the people I have met. All the successful leaders in this country that I have met, they are well connected with the ground, whether they're in business or in education or in sports or in politics, whatever. I'll give you an example. For instance, I met Madan Lal, the Indian selector and the ex-cricketer, and I was talking to him in an airport lounge, and he told me in at least 15 towns the local cricket coaching center person's name. Amazing knowledge. He knows directly. He knows in Junagadh who's the next Bumrah coming. See, please understand, they have not become this big without having some quality. So that connecting with the ground, that is their first asset, and which I have picked up. That is my first asset. And second is, I always remain humble, because my background, I am nobody. Who am I? I am nobody. Whatever has happened is because of my hard work and because of my perseverance. So if we can do that, long time back in our MBA course, long before you guys came to BHU or MBA FMS, we had one fantastic professor, Dr. Deepak Burman. I don't know whether you have heard of him or not. Dr. Deepak Burman. He was a very unassuming professor of business management. But few things he has told us, they still remain in my heart and mind. So Deepak Burman told me that, Dekho beta, there are two things in life which matter. Rest everything is immaterial. One is willingness and another is capability. Capability can be either improved or you are born with. But willingness is the most important part. So I remain fully willing to change and to do things. And in that process, I remain humble. If that is what I can do for whatever career I am left with, I think I will be happy. Growth, no growth, I think you should also do the same thing. That's my suggestion to all the youngsters, all the future generation, stay humble and stay grounded.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing this valuable advice for generations to come. Rootedness and continuity in the perseverance, hard work, and humility is the mark of any individual who's ready for growth. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your time with us. It was an absolute honor to have you with us today, and always such a pleasure meeting with individuals who have made a mark and they are without saying that they have made one. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you so much, sir. Uh,
Thank you. Bye.